This is Grandmaster David Navara, known as one of the nicest and friendliest people in the world of chess. Yet, former world champion Vladimir Kramnik is now suing David for defamation.
I had the feeling that Grandmaster Kramnik's use of statistics was quite problematic in many cases.
We recorded this conversation just several hours before Kramnik filed his lawsuit. But even before that, Kramnik had already threatened to go to court.
I was really sad from it and considered committing suicide, which is wrong, of course.
Today, David tells the full story of this beef for the first time and how it affected him.
I got accused by many of his fans and supporters online in numerous online discussions.
We also discuss lots of chess topics. At his peak, David was number 13 in the world and is still one of the strongest chess players.
I think the competition is much fiercer nowadays.
Do not miss our Blitz game at the end.
Your knights look really good.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, David. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Greg. Thank you for inviting me here.
Of course, I would love to dig deeper into your story of you as a chess player, you as a person. But the most pressing topic regarding you in the news recently has been, of course, your beef with Kramnik, or Kramnik's beef with you, I would say. So can you please explain for those from our audience who have not read your blog post about it? We will link the post in the description. Just briefly explain what happened and why it's bad.
Okay, I'm not great at explaining things briefly, but basically, Grandmaster Kramnik had started his campaign against cheaters and against assumed cheaters long ago. I was quite shocked when I learned at the end of March 2024 that Grandmaster Kramnik had played from the account Krakozia entitled Tuesdays, and this account belongs to Grandmaster Denis Hizmatulin. So it's not allowed. I would call it a fair play violation, not cheating. Cheating is more serious, and Grandmaster Kramnik did not do this to gain money or like this, but probably had some reasons. I cannot speak for him, but I was quite shocked by this, and I was also quite shocked in mid-May when I learned that there was some statistics published by Grandmaster Kramnik. It was something about so-called cheating Tuesdays, as he calls it, contrary to the official name titled Tuesdays. And I was on the third place in the list, which gave the impression that it was somehow connected to cheating. I want to stress that Grandmaster Kramnik did not accuse me, and I mean, I don't know whom he accused or if he asked questions. Basically, there were some names in red. My name was not in red, but somehow it still felt odd because I was ranked third here in the list, and I was ahead of such great players like Magnus Carlsen, who is of course much stronger than me. There are other players who are much stronger, for example Hikaru Nakamura was playing in those tournaments and many others, and my results were good. I would say about my average, but far from great. I mean, I have not won a single prize at that period, and when I read about it first, I was not I even briefly had the impression that Grandmaster Kramnik was accusing me. Basically, I left this impression, and except for my very first reaction, I just claimed that I did not know whether he was accusing me or not, but his fans were accusing me after I reacted to this quite radically, writing that I would complain about this. So I got accused by many of his fans and supporters online in numerous online discussions, and it was really unpleasant. So basically, I complained to FIDE about a combination of four things, which in themselves would not be so serious, perhaps, but when combined together, somehow they looked serious to me. That Grandmaster Kramnik had played from Denis Hizmatulin's account, thus violating the fair play rules of, terms of services of chess.com, that he accused many players. I understand that he accused many players, but I think in some cases it was really unfounded. For example, that famous case with Tikhon Chernyaev, who was a minor back then. So, it was about one move which appeared strange to Grandmaster Kramnik, but it was a move which talented young tactician can find. Nothing so extraordinary. And to me, it looked odd that such a legend says this, and many statements similar to this maybe. Then I had the feeling that Grandmaster Kramnik's use of statistics was quite problematic in many cases, which is also something what Professor Regan says, as long as I understand him correctly. Eventually, I was unhappy about me and other honest players finding ourselves connected to cheating in that tweet, because it was called Cheating Tuesdays, or not called, but it was in the title somewhere. Basically, I was unhappy about it, and unfortunately, I was too angry and too shocked, so I did not care to learn the FIDE ethics code or like this, how should an appeal look, and so on. Because if I did, I would have realized that one could not complain about something, some damage which happened to someone else. So basically, I was not entitled to complain about how Grandmaster Kramnik played from Denis Hizmatulin's account against other people, nor was I allowed to complain about Grandmaster Kramnik speaking about that game against Tikhon Chernyaev. So basically, without this, my complaint doesn't make sense, because I was not complaining about Grandmaster Kramnik accusing me. It's a misinterpretation. I was basically complaining about a combination of factors, because back then in May he was banned. He was banned on chess.com for 3 months back then, as far as I remember it correctly, probably from the beginning of April to the end of June or something like this. Somehow it looked to me that it would be much better if he formulated hypotheses about some players whom he considers dubious, for example, and then look at their results for next period, for following tournaments, because it's very easy to spot irregularities in past data, because there are always some, even if everyone plays correctly, there are always irregularities, but it's much more difficult to predict something like this. And only if one can predict it, it shows that those statistics are useful, because as for finding irregularities in the past, sometimes it can be useful as well. Sorry, maybe I should have formulated it differently, but basically statistics is much better, can give much many more new results when used for the future, and like this, in my opinion.
This episode is sponsored by chess.com and their new exciting product, chess.com courses. If you've used Chessable, which I have for several years now, you should know that chess.com courses now has all Chessable courses on their website and many more.
overall more than 1,000 courses. The move trainer technology at the core of Chessable and courses is what really makes these courses. The spaced repetition algorithm quizzes you at the right time to make sure what you learn really sticks with you. I think that these courses have helped me gain at least a portion of the 250 rating points I've gained over the last 2 years. I've learned several new openings which fit my style and help me get great positions out of the opening. Also, I've trained my calculation skills and acquired new chess knowledge. And I recommend you do too if you want to improve your chess. My top picks include Nepo's course on the King's Gambit, Anish Giri's course on the French defense, and Sam Shankland's chess calculation workbook, a great course on how to train your calculation skills. You can try any course for free with the course preview feature. Also, DiamondChess.com members get a 20% discount on any course and exclusive access to more than 300 free courses as part of their subscription. Did you know that? Check them out. For example, I've studied lots of free courses on endgames, definitely recommend them. So guys, if you don't have a Diamond membership, I really recommend you should get one. And you can support the channel if you buy the membership using my referral link in the description of this episode. I will also link the courses that I've recommended in the episode description. Enjoy.
Yeah, and this is spoken by not just a chess player, but also a man with a background in mathematics. That should be noted for viewers of the podcast. So
I mean, my background in mathematics is a bit problematic because I studied logic, which means mathematical logic, philosophical logic, and I had sociology as a minor, which is also sort of useful here because I learned something about methodology there. But after finishing my studies and getting my master degree, I basically quit that. Often use the quotation, education is what is left when we forget everything what we had learned. So I no longer remember any formulas and like this, but I still know something about statistics in a way that I had attended some courses and I have some sort of understanding, although I would no longer be able to calculate anything.
Well, to be fair, Kramnik has no degree at all, so I think I think your credentials are in this field more impressive, unless he shows us the scientists that work with him, allegedly. So, but let's come back to the story. You say that you filed this appeal to FIDE, but due to some like legal issues, because you do not have the right to appeal on behalf of other people, like this was not considered. But I think that's not like the main problem. I've read your blog post and you said that you were on the verge of like ending your life, that you had.
Yes, I mean, it's true. And actually it was quite sad because I sometimes have depressions. I mean, I don't know if it's depressions in medicinal sense of the word, but certainly they feel like depressions, and in ordinary sense of the word, they are. And I mean, I felt quite unwell. I had to consult my psychiatrist, had to contact a psychotherapist. I mean, I did not like spend so much time with them. Basically, it's like that I contact my psychiatrist like 4 or 5 times per year, basically. So I just had to contact them to meet them earlier because I was feeling unwell. But basically, I felt quite some pressure because I find it hard to deal with stress. And when people in some social media speculate about you and try some nonsense and misinterpret what you have written, what you have done, it's quite unpleasant. And basically, I made the mistake that after the French League, I looked at some discussion, and I mean, it was really unpleasant. And even a player whom I respect as a player, as an annotator, wrote some things which I did not really like showing that he did not understand what I was writing, but still he criticized my message without understanding it properly, which actually happened in this whole case many times, and perhaps also to me. I mean, as for my appeal to FIDE, the main problem was probably that I had to pay some fee to make it valid, but no one informed me, unfortunately. I wrote to like 10 people from FIDE. I found their contacts, and only now, a year later, I learned that I should not have written to concrete people, but to the commissions, like ethics commission and disciplinary, or I don't know which one. But basically, or fair play commission, I have no idea, but that I should have written to the commissions, paid a fee, and like this. And what happened was exactly the opposite. I wrote to all the people whom I found relevant in this connection because I did not know whom should I contact. I was angry, shocked, and like this. And I wrote, and I actually quite soon, one of those FIDE members expressed support for me. But since then, there was some silence. I mean, I wrote many messages at the very beginning because I was stressed, and the initial 8 days were really tough for me because I don't like conflicts. It's basically, I feel more comfortable being on friendly terms with people and like this. But somehow I got angry for a reason, but I submitted an appeal which was formally wrong. And basically, if I had studied it properly, I would not have submitted it. But then I was quite sad after returning from the French League and reading this discussion. And I mean, I had depressions, and I mean, it was not for the first time because, for example, when I was 15, I regularly had suicide thoughts, and because I had some really tough headaches, and it felt very much out of control because I did not know their cause, and it was really tough for me. But okay, I recovered from that. The headaches have disappeared, and I was doing much better. Although from time to time I had some problems, and back then, also after reading those discussions, I had those problems, quite serious problems, I would say, at least subjectively. And I asked the FIDE officials just whether they would show me and whether they would investigate those statistics of Grandmaster Kramnik or not. If so, when? If not, for which reason? I wrote it politely, apologizing for having had written too many messages earlier, but there was no reply. And I mean, it was quite unpleasant because, I mean, during this conversation, I many times wrote that I was feeling unwell. I mean, it was not a secret. And of course, it's true that I should have primarily communicated this to the psychiatrist, which I did, although maybe I should have been more concrete when discussing this with psychiatrists and psychotherapists. And but okay, I have some friends in FIDE, and I expected them to reply. And somehow this mostly did not happen, with some rare exceptions. And it was really sad because when you have problems, you hope that your friends at least tell you something like, sorry, we cannot tell you this. And somehow this did not happen. So, okay, or happened to maybe in one case here, one FIDE member had supported me earlier. So it was tough. Basically, they did not know how much was I suffering at times. I mean, it was not that I would suffer the whole half a year or a year, but there were moments when I suffered from it a lot. And basically it felt unpleasant throughout the time because I thought that there was an appeal, and I was quite nervous about some things, and also playing a lot of tournaments and tired even from playing so much, and this only added to it. And also, when I wrote for the third time about this in December, I got a reply from the FIDE lawyer, and basically he hinted to me that my appeal had been formally wrong, and like this, and wrote that they all respected me, and like this. But somehow it contrasted with the situation when no one cared to reply to me. So I was really, really sad from it and considered committing suicide, which is wrong, of course. I mean, I'm a religious person. I believe that life is a gift and that gifts should not be taken back, that should not be returned. That there is some reason why we live here, and that basically there are many good things in our lives, and I'm glad to be there. I am glad to have overcome this crisis, but it was quite unpleasant. And I have to say that after I published all of this in May 2025, I received some support from many FIDE officials and even an apology from Mr. Dvorkovich. I will not formulate it. I do not remember exactly the message, but he apologized to me for something, for not having reacted earlier or something. It was a pleasant surprise for me that he wrote that to me. And like this. It was tough, but hopefully the situation is getting better now. I had also some sleep disorders in the past few weeks, also during some tournaments, but it's getting better, fortunately, and hopefully it will be better. And I think the main message is that those accusations can sometimes cause damage also, and one should be careful with them, and also that with FIDE, I hope they will take more care in the next cases which are similar, if there are similar cases. And I hope that what I wrote helps to make the atmosphere a bit better. It was very painful for me to write about this publicly, because it's not a thing which people would like to know, which I would like people to know about me when they look at Google. But okay, hopefully it helps a bit. Basically, I believe that accusations should primarily be done secretly, like reports. And when someone has good reasons to make public accusations with really good arguments, which are convincing not only for that person and for that person's best friends, but also for people with different views, I believe in some cases it can be good, although it's better to be careful with this, because it can often make a lot of harm.
Yeah, thank you for sharing the details of this story. I'm glad that everything turned out to be to have at least, maybe if not happy ending, but at least not a tragic ending. But I'm thinking what can we have as a takeaway from this story? Because Kramnik still continues to publish his statistics, and he still continues saying that he's not accusing anyone. He's just sharing some data to call attention to the problem of online cheating, which definitely exists, and nobody is arguing with that. But many people, you included, question his methods. When I questioned his methods, he, after our second podcast with him, he blocked me on social media. So it's hard to have a conversation with him. But still, the problem of online cheating exists, A, and B, he has some followers who listen to what he says and sometimes interpret his data as proof that this or that guy is cheating. So is there any way out of this? Maybe you've discussed with FIDE, maybe they do something, or they cannot do something because he's not accusing formally anyone.
I don't know. Personally, I would prefer not to continue thinking about this topic so much anymore, because it had caused a lot of damage to me. So basically, I think I should just continue playing chess, enjoying chess, and that's what I'm good at. That's what I like. I think if one presents some statistics which shows some players to look suspect, the person who shows the statistics should be able to show them to some scientists or to some objective and knowledgeable people, and to defend his statistics against criticism, because I mean, when you search for reasons why some player is suspect, you can basically for any well-performing player find enough arguments why that person is suspect. But you should also try equally hard to search for arguments why that person is not suspect, why you can be wrong. And if you search for those, actually in most of the cases or many cases, you find as many or more arguments for that. If Grandmaster Kramnik believes that particular statistic to be correct, he should publish the data, let other people look at it, and to check his calculations. Because I have seen online on Reddit some comment, some thread where someone calculated something from those titles Tuesdays, and even the move numbers, the numbers of moves played with 10 seconds or left were very different for some players from the list. I mean, for me, it was more or less similar to what was given there, but for Dmitry Goltsev, for example, the number was very different. So I don't know where the truth lies, where the truth is. Basically, it would be good to see the data. And I understand that in some cases this is impossible because, for example, various anti-cheating mechanisms, can have to stay secret because otherwise cheaters would use them to cheat better next time or like this to avoid detection. I completely understand that chess.com or Lichess or Professor Regan cannot publish some of their data because it would make online chess less safe. It's not safe even now. It would make it even more dangerous, let's say. But when Grandmaster Kramnik wrote about number of moves played with 10 seconds or less and about some number of blunders or something like this, there was some metric which I don't quite understand and which was not described there properly. I think we have the right to ask him for the data, because if he wants us to believe it, he should submit it to criticism, and if his statistics can survive in the criticism, it's a good statistics. If not, then it's probably not so good. Basically, this is what science does. You formulate hypotheses which can be disproved, and when other people disprove them, the hypotheses were probably wrong or maybe not convincing enough. And when no one manages to disprove, to refute them, they are accepted as a part of our scientific knowledge. I mean, it's an oversimplification, but it probably works sort of like this.
Yeah. The important thing is that you don't have to, that you have to make a hypothesis and be ready that it may be wrong, and you're not searching for proof of what you already believe to be true. You're searching for truth. So yeah, that's very important. By the way, recently you played in London at the World Rapid and Blitz Teams Championships, and Kramnik was supposed to play there as well. And I was wondering, like, he withdrew, I don't know the reasons, but he withdrew from the event. But what would have happened if you were to be paired against him? Like, would it change? Would it be like a different game to you? How would you feel?
I mean, it would have been tough for me because I don't like too much stress, and it would have been tough, but I would have tried to show my best, and I think I would have managed to play a good game, but I would not like to play a match against him because it would have been too much stress, too much just, and I prefer playing against people whom I like and respect. And I respect Grandmaster Kramnik a lot as a chess player. I mean, he is one of the greatest players from the past 3 decades or like this. Of course, Garry Kasparov, but he retired in 2005 and he's one of the greatest players in the history of chess. Of course, Magnus Carlsen. Personally, I rate Vishy Anand higher than Grandmaster Kramnik. But I mean, in terms of, for example, opening ideas and new conceptions, Grandmaster Kramnik has brought so much. Like he revived Berlin with his second preparation for the 2000 match against Garry Kasparov, and he played Berlin also afterwards. With white, he popularized a lot various systems with knight f3, c4. He popularized London a lot. And he was and still is a very, very strong player, great player. That's it. And basically, if I were going to play him, I mean, of course, if he decided to shake hands with me, I would have shaken hands with him. If not, it would be more complicated. But I respect him as a chess player a lot. Let's put it like this. And I'm glad that I did not have to meet him there and to play him, because I mean, I was very stressed on those days, because when someone threatens you with a court, it's not something that would improve your sleep. I'm sorry for the word threatening, basically. Maybe it's just my interpretation and I was too anxious, but I was more happy that he was not playing in the same tournament.
Yeah, for those of our viewers and listeners who don't know, Kramnik, after having read the blog post by David, said that he has a team of lawyers and they are ready to investigate this post by David and maybe even sue him. So that was very, very, very unusual. I guess we have to separate the art from the artist here, the chess from the person, because he indeed is a great chess player. Okay. Let's discuss chess and more positive topics then. You've mentioned Kramnik, Kasparov, Anand. You've played all of those guys, and you've played the legends of the past. You've played even like Korchnoi, for example, and now you still play the best of the best, and sometimes you even defeat them. Like you have some wins over Magnus, for example. So you can compare the old generation, the new generation. How is chess evolving? Are you excited about the way the youngsters are playing these days? What can you say about this?
I think the competition is much fiercer nowadays. Basically, I believe that the top players are similarly intelligent across all the periods. That one needs to be very clever and talented and hardworking, mostly except for Capablanca, to get to the top. But now it's different, because when I was young, there were a handful of players who were already professionals at the very young age, whereas I was attending secondary school, then going to the university and like this. And maybe it was not completely standard, but not an exception either. Nowadays, the competition is fiercer and players get very, very strong at a younger age. Also, there are better books, better training courses. I don't mean only for example, chessable courses, but also those led by people, by trainers. There are some training plans and like this. So when nowadays someone is talented, has support, has good trainers and enough money to travel for tournaments, the player can get very strong very quickly. But all the more, it's more difficult to break through among the young generation, because there is a very tough competition, so many strong players nowadays, and so it's more difficult. Because, for example, I was probably at my peak at 30, and now I'm aged 40, and I think the level of my play is similar. I mean, there are some aspects at which I'm stronger. There are some aspects at which I'm weaker. I'm weaker in Blitz than I was back then, probably, but it's similar, but the other players around have become stronger. So I believe that if the players of the older generations were younger and living and playing actively in these times, they would excel as well. They were just great players, but just the average level of play is probably increasing now. And what was enough to be in top 25 or top 30 10 years ago might not always be enough to be in top 60 nowadays, probably. So it's more difficult and more challenging because there are many players who are talented, hardworking, and have a lot of support.
Yeah, and you personally can attest to this being more challenging as you've been at your peak, I think, number 13 in the world 10 years ago. Now you're still in like top 60, right, in the world?
I'm not even sure. I'm in top 70 almost for sure. Yeah. Top 60, maybe in live rating. I'm not really sure. I'm not so happy about my rating, so I no longer follow it that closely. But I can agree. Basically, I was ranked 13th already almost... like 19 years ago, but I was probably overrated back then. It was just a period when I played well, or at least had very good results throughout a year from like August 2005 to August 2006, for example, and I got to a high rating, but then other players learned how to play against me, and I was not all the time in great form, and also became more nervous and like this, and then my results went down quite quickly, and then there were some ups and downs. But basically in 2015, I was ranked 14th at some point, also probably overrated because players who are at their peak are mostly overrated or often overrated. But I was really strong also. But nowadays it's more difficult.
What do you do to keep up with the competition? Because you still compete at the top level. You quite often win some events. So what's your secret? Do you have to work harder these days now that you've...
I think I work harder than back then, which is strange, but it's true. But also I'm not so great at it because I'm not very systematic. So my opening files are very chaotic, unfortunately. And because I only learned how an opening file should look about in 2016 or maybe even later, and it's hard to rewrite everything from scratch or like this. So that's a problem, and I'm working a lot on chess. Liking or loving chess helps a lot, because when you do something for a long time, you need positive emotions derived directly from it, and not only from the results, because otherwise you could burn out quite easily. In fact, one can burn out even when liking chess a lot, because I play a bit too much and over the board. Since the pandemic, I have also been playing online a lot, and my official accounts, former Prodigy on chess.com and real David Navara on Lichess, but I also have other accounts. One of them is more or less inactive nowadays on chess.com. The other on Lichess is active. I use it because I'm sometimes more comfortable playing secretly like this for various reasons, also including some reasons like that it doesn't exactly hurt my ego when I lose. I'm not a person who would have the biggest ego, but still I am more likely to enjoy the game when I play anonymously, but I have my GM title there as well, so it's not like some very high-rated account with no title, no name, nothing. I at least cared to get the GM title here on Lichess as well.
So you wrote to the team to send the proof that you're a GM, but still you have the anonymous.
Yes,
the account as anonymous. I see. It's interesting that when we spoke about choosing the date and time for the recording, you said that I have this and that planned for this week. In particular, on the evening of that day, I'm going to play online chess. And I really liked it, the fact that you planned for an online chess playing session. Do you treat it like a training session, or is it just time reserved for relaxing, having fun, or do you consciously try out opening ideas during such playing sessions? How do you treat this?
I started playing online during the pandemic when there were no other options or hardly ever other options. I mean, till then I played 3 or 4 decades of online games, mostly some casual games with friends and like this. Not a single tournament on chess.com, no Chess, Chess24, just some friendly match between Czech Republic and Slovakia back in 1907 or like this. Something very distant past. We played from some special hall. Since the pandemic, online chess has become a mixture of 4 things for me. It's a useful part of training, but it should not be the only one, and I have been neglecting some good chess books nowadays a bit. I mean, I continue reading, but less than before and slower than before, because I spend too much time online. So useful training, number 1. Sometimes also work. Sometimes I can also win some money online, although frankly speaking, there is only a handful of events which make a lot of sense in this respect per year. And I think in this year I have not won anything, just anything anywhere so far. Also because my results went down in the past year a bit. Maybe it's age, maybe it's poor form, maybe it's also other factors like stress and like this, perhaps all together. Then it's also sort of good fun for me. I mean, a nice pastime, and also some sort of addiction, not a terrible addiction. I mean, it's not too bad. There are many worse addictions which one can suffer from. So it's not a tragedy, but sometimes it's connected with the last factor, that online chess also takes a lot of time, and sometimes a lot of this time could be used better. So there are some positives and negatives for me. I'm active online player, but there are players who are much more active than me.
Yeah, definitely. Like Hikaru, for example, who plays
yes,
crazy amount of games.
See myself primarily as an over-the-board player.
I see. And I've noticed, I've watched the chess-based India video with you, by the way, an amazing one. I totally recommend everyone should check it out. Sagar went to your home and you showed him your book collection, which is amazing. I'm a book person and really respect that. So I've noticed that you are one of those people in chess who read a lot of chess books. So do you still, like you said, you do that not as much these days, but I assume you still do that. So how do you dedicate the time spent on, how do you structure the time spent on books, spent on learning new openings with an engine? Can you describe this?
I think the better question would be if I structure any part of my life at all, because I don't really structure it. I do what I want to do, and somehow I don't only want to work on the openings and don't only want to play online chess, which is certainly more tempting than working on the openings for me. But I like reading good chess books, and I also travel a lot and tend to read a lot when traveling, but I'm chaotic, and nowadays spending a bit too much time online and reading less. There were periods in my life when I read really a lot. Also, when I was very young, I did not have a computer. Then I had some, but those computers were just ridiculous in comparison with nowadays computers and like this. So the books have become better than before, but also there are many other options which have become more tempting. So it's hard, but I think if one is accustomed to reading, it's easier. But nowadays, unfortunately, I'm reading a bit less because I'm spending too much time online. So I should change this to some extent again, because there are many good chess books which should be read and which can help me to play a bit better. I'm already aged 40, and so I cannot expect wonders from those books because I had spent plenty of time on chess. Maybe players who are starting with chess can get more from those books, and not only from books, also from trainings with people and from online training, because when they did not know so much about chess, it is easier to make big progress. But for me, it's not only about progress, but I want to learn something new, to keep learning, to train my brain, which becomes important as one is becoming older, and to enjoy chess.
Yeah, definitely. And I should say that you are also a chess book author. We will link your books in the description for all guys who like reading chess books with some great analysis by the author. And I wanted to ask, like you mentioned, spending lots of time online. You didn't just mean playing online chess. What else do you do? Do you like watch TikToks, or what do you do?
No, I don't have social media, social networks. So basically, I'm listening to YouTube sometimes. Basically, I'm spending time on chess when sitting at the computer. So it's playing online or also watching online, like chess.com or Chess or some broadcasts like this. I can listen to something on YouTube, but mostly it's some sort of multitasking, that I'm listening to radio, preparing for some openings, or analyzing some games which I played earlier. So basically like this, which is nice. It is good for me, but when I'm doing this too often, it is tiring also, because this multitasking, it's not always easy, and it's something with what I should be careful.
Yeah, but probably it suits you and your style of living if you're this chaotic yes. person, chaotic good, as as they say. I also wanted to ask you about religion, if it's not too personal a topic for you, because you sometimes mentioned the fact that you are religious, and even again in our correspondence, you said that you were supposed to go to the church, I think today in the morning. How big of a part of your life does religion play, and do you think it influences your chess in some way?
I don't know. It's hard to say how big part of my life. Basically, it's not that I would like go to the church that often, and it would be a big part of my life. But basically, I think it's very important for me in a way, how I see the world, how I see other people, how I behave to them, and like this. Basically, Christianity is primarily about belief in the God and in Jesus Christ and so on. But also, it's probably almost as important as this is how you behave to other people, how you see them, that you should respect other people and so on. Unfortunately, in the history, there were many cases when some influential Christians were much more interested in power than in Christian teachings. And also in Bible, there are many sentences which can be interpreted in many different ways. But basically, I think what one should take from Christianity, even if one is not a Christian or not religious at all, is that we should respect other people as much as ourselves. And of course, this I don't know the terminology in English. Unfortunately,
Ten Commandments.
Yes, commandments, which come from Judaism, of course. Christianity has been largely influenced by Judaism, and basically, I believe that it's not so much about a concrete religion, but about the attitude to what you find sacred and about the attitude to other people, basically, in my opinion. So I am a Christian personally, but I respect the religion of other people if they have goodwill and like this. And of course, there are some versions of religion which I find wrong, but it also applies to some versions of Christianity. There were those crusades in Middle Ages, and it was very sad, and it has done a lot of damage for relations between various religions and also to Christianity itself, because when there are some teachings about love and respect for other people, and then army comes somewhere and causes wars, it's wrong, and like this.
Yeah, definitely. So probably the fact that you are known in the chess world as a true gentleman who, for example, like the famous incident with Moiseenko when you offered a draw in a winning position because like your opponent previously was did the right thing towards you. Like this is also a byproduct of your religion. Would that be true to say that?
Basically, in that game, earlier I touched two pieces almost simultaneously. I obviously wanted to play with the bishop, but I also touched the king. It's possible that earlier. And if I had to play with the king, I would have had to resign. If I played with the bishop, which was what I had planned, and I was trying to catch the bishop just with some finger touching the king incidentally, and none of us knew the rules exactly, so what I did was all right, but basically none of us was certain, and I offered a draw because it seemed to me that if I had to play with the king, I would have lost. If I had to play with the bishop, I would have won. I was not sure about how the rules were exactly, and I did not want the match to be decided by that particular game, which could be controversial, and wanted it to be decided on the board, which happened. Basically, it was also a demonstration of my respect for chess and of my passion for chess because of this. And I think as for religion, I think it's also, hopefully it can be seen in my behavior mostly. Unfortunately not always, but we are not perfect, but that I'm trying to, I'm mostly successfully trying to respect other people as much as myself. And I think it's good generally, and the world would be much better place if this were standard. And actually there are many people who are doing this, plenty of people, and it's great. There are plenty of great people in the world, but unfortunately, there are in politics, for example, there are some problems. I'm sad about some conflicts in today's world.
Yes, it is true, and yeah, your words really should be heard by more people. Okay, David, as a tradition, at the end of the episode, we usually play time odds Blitz game against my opponent, my guest. Usually, grandmasters give me time odds of 1 minute versus 5 because I'm rated around 2000 in FIDE. Would it be comfortable for you?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So, how can I add you time?
There is a clock. Give 15 seconds.
Yes, I can see it. Okay. So, but why are you playing now when I'm adding new time? Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Feel free to play.
Okay.
Yes.
Are we... Okay, so 30 seconds against 3 minutes, but with a time addition of 1 second per move. Okay. 5. Okay. 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 Sack the pawn. Let's see where it leads. Okay. Mhm. Mhm. Your knights look really good.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Horsing play. By the way, rook a6, rook g6 was an interesting idea.
Yeah, I did not think of that. Mm. Oh, oops. Not very pleasant. Okay. Mhm. Yeah, looks nice. I'm afraid I'm lost.
Yes.
Okay, I resign.
Thank you.
Good game. Thank you for the masterclass.
Thank you. You are welcome.
Was impressive.
I actually think that instead of b6, rook a6, rook g6 was an interesting idea, at least promising in practical terms. I think white's position should be sound, but somehow with little time left and my king somewhat exposed, it could be tricky.
Yeah, rook a6. The engine approves. Yeah, of course you're better, but yeah, this would have been much better, practically speaking. Thank you very much, David, for the game and for the conversation. I wish you good luck in the upcoming tournaments. And guys, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Leave a comment. Did you like the episode? What do you think about all this beef? The story with Kramnik and about David's life philosophy. Looking forward to your comments and to your feedback, and see you in the next one.